Hello YouTube, this is 97 Sakurai again, and, I've been going through some stuff lately, so I haven't been able to post many videos as of yet, so this is going to be a video, and I might make another one in a little bit, I don't know when, but this video doesn't really have a general topic. I'm just talking about different things that I've spoken about in other videos. I'm just elaborating on them. I've gotten a lot of questions, and one is from Django Fett. I don't know the rest of your name, I'm sorry, I just know the beginning. And he asked if Pleiadians are to be trusted, and if some other man is to be trusted that talks to the Pleiadians, I guess. It's all discernment, okay? If you feel as though the information that's coming through is truthful to you, then believe it. Again, everything is perspective. Everything you see, everything you touch, everything you smell, hear, taste, touch, feel, sense in any way is perspective. It doesn't exist. It is an illusion created by the physical dimension. Let me get into that. So, I said in the video that a lot of Pleiadians can't be trusted because they have been corrupted by a separate species, and this is true, but this is only in a handful of realities, in only one timeline that is interacting with Earth. There are many timelines of many beings that are interacting with Earth. Not every single Pleiadian is going to be corrupted. It's only some. These are mainly fourth-dimensional Pleiadians that, again, are working with the Saurian, Draconian group, and some of the Zeta Reticulan Greys, because even some Zeta Reticulan Greys are quote-unquote good to humanity, because, again, good and evil doesn't exist in this universe. There is no polarity. Polarity is caused by the fractaling of consciousness in the lower dimensions. Because we perceive, oh good, oh bad. There is no good or bad action in the universe. It is the perspective of the objective viewer that makes said action good or bad. And these are annoying me, so I'm going to take them off. My glasses broke when I was in a graveyard. One of my friends stepped on them. But, so, that being said, it's whatever you want to believe. I have no right to say that you cannot trust these beings and you can trust these beings. It's whatever you want to believe. Personally, I trust only beings that give truthful information that I find truthful. And this is only my truth, only my perspective of the realities that I am viewing. Because the way it works is everything we're viewing, from you watching this video to you stepping outside and staring at a tree, isn't there. It's already happened. It's already gone. Yes, time doesn't exist in a linear sense that we humans think it does. Let me better explain this, okay? You have this, the structure of our universe is a donut, okay? Going through the center of this donut is a beam of pure golden white light. That is an axis. The donut spins around the center of this axis, okay? Then enclosed, this donut axis is enclosed in a cube. This cube is gridded. There's a bunch of points of light along this cube that make up the inside of this cube. And these points of light are consciousness. This is the conscious grid, the light conscious grid. And outside of that cube is another cube connecting each vertice, like I don't know what it's called, but it's a fourth dimensional cube shape. A hypercube, I think. And then outside of that is another dimensional shape that I can't really explain in this limiting language. But it looks kind of like a dodecahedron with a dodecahedron with a dodecahedron and a dodecahedron inside of it. And I don't know how to explain it really. But this also has a bunch of billions of points of light inside of it that are on a grid pattern. And this just keeps happening and happening, happening, happening. And in the hypercube, you have an X, Y, and Z axis. In the smaller cube, the one going through the center of the donut, the one going this way, and another going this way. X, Y, and Z axis. And these are all just beams of light that are connecting to other universes. And inside this donut, you have the physical plane, Okay, the metaphysical exists outside this dome, not technically. Because the inside of the donut is in layers. You have the very, very outer layer is the metaphysical, and then it just gets more metaphysical as you go on beyond that. But inside that, it gets more and more physical as you get to the center of the donut. And we exist in one of those layers towards the center because we're in a physical, low, dense vibration. And inside this, our consciousness is a spiral. All energy naturally spirals in this universe. And what we perceive as a linear consciousness is the axis inside this spiral. So our consciousness is spiraling, boring through reality. Technically, it's coming from a point and coming out, spiraling outwards, and there's the axis coming along it. But whichever way you want to look at it, we're spiraling through the galaxy. And this spiral is attracting all of these snapshots of realities. And realities are just probable past and future probabilities of things that can happen. Like in one probability, I can say the, and I just did. Therefore, I moved into that reality. Every single thing you do, down to the last quasi-atom, a quark, the proton, neutron, electron, whatever you want to label it, down to even below those states of matter, I guess. This is how it works. It's just a probability. The probability of said atom moving to Z and said atom moving to B is equally as great as said atom moving to Y. And as soon as said atom moves to one of those places, more probabilities are open. So, okay, so now let's say said atom moves to Z. Now said atom can move to B, C, and A. But it can never go back. You can never go back. Once you move forward, you can never go back in the universe because you already moved there. Now, it works on the atomic scale. It works on the physical scale as well. So what we are doing is our consciousness, the collective human consciousness, is spiraling through the galaxies, spiraling through the universe, and this is attracting all these snapshots, these fragments of realities that are just floating around in space. Yes, they have a structure. The structure looks more like a neuron, the neuron passageways in the brain. Our universe looks, inside the donut looks like a giant brain. It looks like an organism, basically. Because it is. It's alive. The universe has consciousness. But anyway, so we're spiraling through the galaxy, attracting all these snapshots of realities, and then we're picking and choosing which ones we want to perceive, and then we're placing them along the linear axis. And this is what we're perceiving right now. We're perceiving this linear axis of these realities. So all these realities are inside this spiral that we're attracting due to our vibration. And then we say we make an action in this reality in order to, we make the intent, I want to pick up that cup. We take the reality that's in the spiral of picking up that cup, and then we move through the realities in order to pick up that cup, and then we pick it up, and now we're in that reality. Now, say we want to put the cup down. We then find the reality that's in the spiral of putting the cup down, and then we move into that reality and put the cup down. Because we're along an axis inside a spiral. And this is the structure of the human consciousness. Somebody else asked in my universal creation video how the universe is a sphere that expanded, and then the energy converged and expanded again, and then it just kept doing that until it got to the flower of life. And then once the flower of life was created, it inversed on itself, and then started creating more flower of life patterns, and then the tree of life was found, and then the triad, and then the Merkaba, and then the dodecahedron, and the 5 platonic solids, and everything you know is created from the flower of life pattern. And somebody asked, well, what was before that? And honestly, I can't answer that question because you really can't explain such a question in this limiting English language. I mean, language itself is limiting because you're trying to explain something through frequencies and vibrations that are set up in a specific structure. And you can't really explain the universe in language. The best way to explain the universe is math. I tell people all the time, the language of the universe is math. If you want to speak the universal language, It's mathematics. I mean, no doubt about it. And so I can't really answer that question. I'm sorry. But I can tell you that the creators, the 5 original beings that came and created this universe, were created in their universe that is similar to ours. They created their universe in the image of, they created our universe, in their universal image. They structured it the same way. Now, a little bit different in order to get what they wanted, but again, it's structured similarly. So they were created out of source. Something bigger than them created them, and something bigger than that created that. It never stops getting bigger, and it never stops getting smaller. There's always something bigger and always something smaller. So in order to say there's a God being, there isn't. You could say that there was a spontaneous explosion of consciousness that created everything, and you could say that this explosion is the God that created every single universe, but this would be incorrect because this explosion itself didn't have a consciousness. It was just a reaction of energies, because that's all we are. We are energy that inversed on itself in order to experience. Let's put it this way. So you are said being A in a very, very, very high metaphysical dimension. You have no physical form, you have no emotional structure, you have no need for food, you're just an essence. Okay? You want to experience physicality. You want to know what it's like to die. You want to know what it's like to love. You want to know what it's like to cry. You want to know what it's like to be mortal. But you don't want to go all the way down to the physical realm because you don't want to experience the very edges of physicality. You don't want to start from ground zero. So what you do is you take your consciousness and then you invert it. When you invert your consciousness, what you're doing is you're crossing waves. And this crossing of waves cancels out the 2 waves and creates a 3rd wave. That 3rd wave creates another cancellation, and then creates another wave, creates another wave, creates another wave. And eventually, you just get this spiral of a consciousness that is canceling itself out, thus making itself smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller until it vibrates at a low enough frequency for it to inhabit the physical form. Because the physical form is just a vessel that contains our consciousness. Because all we are is consciousness. We're just energy. We're just vibration. We're waves within the universe. And believe it or not, a lot of people aren't going to believe this, but the physical vessel doesn't exist. It's just an illusion. It's an illusion perpetuated by the metaphysical. Because, put it this way, you have a sphere, okay? And then you have another sphere outside of that sphere. And then outside of that sphere, you have a gap. And then outside of that gap, you have another sphere. Okay? So, the sphere, the smallest sphere on the inside is physicality. That sphere on the outside is metaphysicality. Then you have that gap of nothingness. And then you have the other sphere containing these spheres. This metaphysicality are just vibrations. They're just essences. They're just energy. It's just literal energy. When you could say that these essences are uranium, plutonium, air, whatever you want to call it, whatever you want to label it, it is just energy. Just a mass of substance. It's just a vibration. And this vibration lowered itself into such a low vibrational frequency, such a low, dense reality, basically, that it began to create realities. This is how realities were created, is because they lowered themselves. And through this lowering of their potential, they limited their perspective. They limited what they could perceive. And when they limited what they could perceive, they started thinking, oh, well, what if this happened? What if this happened? What if this happened? What if this happened? And that thought of what if creates that reality. So when you're sitting in your chair and you're saying, well, what if tomorrow I die? You just created the reality, the possibility that you're going to die tomorrow. Now, death itself is just a transition into another physical form or into a higher or lower vibrational state. Because all you do when you die is you shed your physical form, you vibrate into a different frequency because you are just a vibration, and then you connect through electromagnetic waves or some type of waveform into another physical body, because the body is just a chemical computer that connects to the vibration, and that's it. You just transition. Let's put it this way. So let's say the physical body is the computer, okay? And then you want to go to another computer. You yourself, personally, is the Wi-Fi that connects the computer to computer. And when you are connected to one computer, you become the software. You become the program that the computer connects to run. And then once the computer stops working, you then become the energy, the radio wave, the Wi-Fi, whatever you want to call it, that transitions into another computer. You become that computer's program. Another thing to say, we all exist in every single dimension. You, right now, exist in every single dimension. Every single one. There's not a damn dimension that you don't exist in. And in each dimension, you have a different perspective because you have a different angle, you have a different vibration. Because all you are, again, is a mass of energy that lowers itself into the vibrations. And each vibration you lower yourself into, you stay in that vibration until you fractal yourself more, and then fractal yourself more, and then fractal yourself more. So one energy mass can fit into thousands of physical vessels. That being said, all of humanity is one energy form. Just one. That's all it is. That's why we call ourselves humanity. Now, right now, with the starseed program from other energy forms, other species that are coming into our world, humanity has been broken up into many different energy forms. That's why there's so much energy on Earth right now, is because different energy forms are manifesting onto this planet. They're lowering themselves into our vibrational state. And this is also why the hybridization process is going on, because some of these energy forms are way too high in vibration. They hold too much energy to inhabit a physical vessel. So they have to modify the DNA just a little bit in order for the connection to be, what's the word I'm looking for? In order for the vibration to connect to the physical vessel. So, that being said, I don't personally know how all universes were created. I don't personally know what created the creators, because what created the creators was just an energy that set through its intention. It didn't do anything. An energy doesn't do anything but exist. All it did was intend to create something. Poof, it happened. Not literally poof, but yeah. And the creators then created the light grid, the angelic light grid. They helped create the angels, the angelic beings, and these angelic beings helped create the light grid. Once the light grid was produced, they then, all of the beings that helped create this light grid just went inside themselves. They inverted and went into physicality. Because that was the whole point. This is just a video game. Life is just a video game. Literally, that's the best thing to compare it to. This consciousness, this energy had thought. It had, it could process what it was perceiving based on what it was seeing and feeling, and based on the vibrations. So I don't have anything to compare this to, but all we are is a vibration, in essence, just a blob of different, or one vibration depending on our resonant frequency. And this frequency has the ability to discern other frequencies. Okay, that frequency is lower than mine. That frequency is higher than mine. This frequency is the same as mine. That's what it can do. And then it perceives these frequencies the way it wishes. So you have this one lone frequency that, say, is higher than you. It's a higher frequency vibrating at a faster rate. You would then perceive this energy in any way you could. You could possibly perceive it as a dancing elephant that's purple. And that doesn't mean it's a dancing elephant that's purple. That means that's what you're perceiving it to be. That being said, all extraterrestrials are just what you perceive them to be. Now, a lot of you are going to go, oh, well then why can't I walk outside and see a dancing elf walking down the street just because I want to? And that's because we're all agreeing to perceive the same thing. We're all trapped in the illusion of physicality. You're just a vibration. You came into the physical plane. The physical plane is one giant hallucination. That, literally a hallucination. This computer, you watching this video, don't exist. Not at all. Not even in the slightest. But yet, you do. Because of the fact that you're a hallucination, you exist. Because of the fact that we believe we exist. But we don't exist on a physical, on a spiritual level. Physicality doesn't exist. What's happening is the reason you can't just walk outside and see what you want, or walk outside and be the richest man in the world. By the way, that's material wealth, that'll only limit you. But the reason you can't just walk outside and say fly into the sky, or walk outside and just do what you want, is because, again, we are one vibration. And if this vibration believes that it cannot do such a thing, it won't. That is why this world right now is going through such a change, because our collective consciousness is beginning to shift. We're beginning to believe, oh, I can move an object with my mind, just because I can, because everything exists all at once. Everything exists everywhere and nowhere, because it exists everywhere, therefore there is no everywhere, there is nowhere. Literally, in all sense of the matter. So that's why you can't, because the collective conscious believes it can't. And once the collective conscious vibrates into another frequency, we will be able to, because then we're going to be able to move things with our mind. We're going to be able to see the quasi-quantum structure of the universe, not in its entirety yet, but we will be able to see portions of it, because we're moving into a higher vibration. Now you're going to say, oh, well, why can other people do it and I can't? And that's because they are connected to the higher version of our consciousness. They themselves, their physical vessel, is downloading and uploading the frequency that they wish to perceive. Because the human consciousness actually exists at an extremely high frequency. But like I said, it fractals going down in the dimensions. And when people who say can't do telekinesis, or can't see energies, or can't do any of this psychic mumbo-jumbo, as other people call it, it's because they're connecting, they're uploading and downloading information from a lower fractaled form of the human consciousness. The ones that can do this are accessing the higher fractaled form of this human consciousness. Other beings, however, like, say, the Arcturians, have a different resonant consciousness frequency, and their consciousness frequency is fractal just like ours, because they're in our plane, they're lowering themselves in our dimension. That's why Arcturian starseeds can access more than human starseeds can, because the Arcturian collective conscious vibrates at a slightly different frequency than the human consciousness does. So they're uploading and downloading information from the Arcturians, who have already cleansed their consciousness. Their consciousness is more unified than ours. Yes, it still exists in a fractal state because it exists. In order to exist, you must exist fractaled. Because the existence itself is fractal. The original, the universe itself is just one lone vibration. It's just a vibration. I don't know how else to explain it without drawing it, and I'm not really good at art, so I don't really think I could do that. But I have a piece of paper here. Maybe I can draw it, okay? You have the one consciousness, okay? Let's say it's this line right here, okay? Then you have different vibrations, different dimensions, okay? So this one consciousness now becomes 2 lines. Now becomes 3 lines, 4 lines, 5 lines, 6 lines, 7 lines, 7 lines. It just keeps going down and down and down. Okay? One consciousness, fractal consciousness. this fractal consciousness has branches. Okay, so you have this one lone vibration, and then you have one dimension lower than that. Now you have two lone vibrations. Now you go one dimension lower than that. You have 4 lone vibrations, 8 lone vibrations, and it just keeps doubling. And then once it gets to a certain point, it quadruples, and then just getting bigger and bigger and bigger and smaller and smaller and smaller. And like I said before, there's always something bigger and always something smaller. This one vibration is but the fractal state of another vibration that is above it. And we just perceive it as one vibration because we can't perceive the entirety of this vibration because we ourselves exist at a fractaled state. So I hope this video explained a lot. Light beings are just beings that exist at a higher vibration than us, and we perceive them the way that we choose to perceive them. The reason you and I can walk outside and see the same gray alien is because we perceive that same gray alien. Our consciousness says, okay, do you see that? And then the other person's consciousness says, I don't know, do you see that? And then eventually they agree, okay, we both see brown eyes, we both see a big head, we both see no belly button, whatever a gray looks like. I'm not actually using actual features of them, but we agree to perceive the same thing, which is why I can walk down the street and see you, because me and you, we are agreeing to see each other. Knowing this, you can change what you look like. If you want to look like something else, do it. Just literally 100% intent, change your physical form. It is just genetics. Genetics can be affected by frequency, because genetics themselves are just frequencies that we perceive as the physical form. That's another thing. Genetics, genes, DNA, is just a physical manifestation of our energy form. When you see a monkey and it has different DNA than you, that is because the monkey's energy mass, its collective conscious, exists at a different resonant frequency. So it manifests as different codons, different nucleic bases. Different combinations of the nucleic bases. This is what it manifests as, because this is what we want it to manifest as. This is why our science isn't really going anywhere, because when a scientist goes out, they observe the universe, which was good when we were primitive. They say, okay, so this drops. Must be a force pulling it down. Good, we're using discernment. But we're limiting ourselves. As soon as we say, oh, there's a force pulling that down, we have to say, okay, so there must be something we can do to push it up. We're limiting. We say, oh, the universe is made up of atoms. That's because we want to see atoms. We created atoms. We created everything we see. We created matter. It doesn't exist. It's all because we created it. It's all a mass illusion. The planet doesn't exist. Our star doesn't exist. It's all energy. All of it. And a lot of people aren't going to believe what I say in this video, and that's fine. I don't care. You can believe what you want. I mean, it's your perspective. It's your illusion. It's your reality that you are perceiving. So if you don't want to believe it, go ahead. But please, don't post negative comments on my YouTube. I'm not going to look at them. I'm just going to delete them right away. I mean, I don't care. If you do have something to say, if you have a different perspective that you want to offer me, go right ahead. But do it in a positive manner. Please and thank you. Thank you for watching this video. I know it was all over the place, but I really wanted to get the point across that everything you see, everything you know, doesn't exist. None of it. Now, that's not an excuse to go out and say, oh, well, now life doesn't matter, so I'm going to sit in my ass and do nothing. No. You are part of this illusion. You walk outside and you can punch a tree and your knuckles will bleed. You are physical. You are in this physical plane along with the rest of us. Therefore, play the damn game. This is just a video game. Ride the wave. Okay? We are in the process of ascending into another vibration, into a less fractal state of ourselves. that, you know, like I said earlier, that one source substance, that one vibration, all beings are part of that. The Pleiadians are us. Everything is your reflection. Everything. So be nice, love everything, and for God's sakes, don't just give up because it doesn't mean anything. Just ride the wave and play the game. Play the game how you want it, though, because it's your video game. Nobody else's. They each have their own different video game. Thank you. Namaste, and much love to you all.